Well, I just bought a bunch of markers again, or I've already had some of these, but the point is I'm going to test all these different markers and create some artworks and see how they all compare to each. So let's get to it. So I know a lot of people have made videos and stuff about comparing Copics to different alcohol-based markers, but I decided to compare all these together. I got a Copic multi-liner as well, but that's just for line art that I decided to use. But I decided to compare all of these, and I kept them all blue because I want to see how the different blues compare to each other. But anyway, so we have a Posca pen first up here, some water-based markers like the Ecoline or the Tombow. Of course, your basic Copic sketch, which is alcohol-based, and Artist Loft are alcohol-based too. Yeah, right there it says so. And now this marker, I'm pretty sure is alcohol-based. It's the Touch brand. It's twin marker. I don't know. I haven't seen many of these. I actually found this at a small craft store in Michigan, but I decided to buy it, and that kind of gave me inspiration to do this video. What I'm going to do first is swatch all of these, which I will do in my ELO sketchbook, which I have. So let's open that up. And let's do some swatching. So in general, I prefer using alcohol-based markers in my art, and as you can see, the Copics look as a better quality, a better tonal difference, but I want to see how all three of them would look in separate artworks. I haven't used Posca pens as a coloring material, so I can't wait to see how that looks. And lastly, we have the water-based markers, which I do not like the texture of, but I have used Tombow before, and they've been alright. Okay, so now we have some swatches. This is going to be very fun to work with, and I'm going to try to apply different skills to each one. Maybe I'll do some thumbnails, and then I'm going to try to make an artwork with each marker, and they're all going to be different. I don't want to draw the same thing over and over again and just color it with a different marker. So I'm going to apply different skills and draw a few things with these. So to start off, I'm starting with the Artist Loft marker, and I'm drawing a character I have drawn many times. So the pose itself, I want it to be kind of floaty, and most of the characters I'm going to be drawing are just floating in the space, but I try to add personality to each one of them. So if you haven't figured it out yet, I am drawing Aziraphale from the series Good Omens, and he is one of my favorite characters from that. I kind of messed up on the line art in a few spots, but I'm going to try to fix that later. In the meantime, I'm doing some coloring now. Using the marker itself, it did feel kind of dryish in a way to put it. It's not as juicy in the ink as a Copic marker, and I found it very hard to layer and to get different tones in it, but I try to work with what I had. As you can see, I'm just going over the same spots over and over again with the marker to try to get a darker tone in certain areas to create more contrast. It was just very hard with this marker. Then I just try to define the lines better, and now I'm done with the Aziraphale. Next, I'm using the Tombow to draw a character from a musical I really like. I am drawing Paul Matthews from the Star Kid musical, The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, because I was inspired by the color of the Tombow, because it really fits the color of the alien stuff that basically comes to Earth in the musical. And of course I was inspired by the song Let It Out, which is one of my favorites from the musical. And while I use the marker itself for the coloring, I also use water since Tombows are water-based, so I could get more contrast with the tone by creating lighter tones by using water. For the background, I use the water to create a blue tinted background and use the marker for more detailed things like dots and squiggles, and I also wrote the main lyric for the song. I then drew little music notes to add to the theme of the whole musical, and then I was done. The next marker I used was a touch marker, and I was interested to see how it compared to all the other ones since I had never used this brand before. So I drew Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars, and he is one of my favorite Jedi in the entire series, so I had a lot of fun with this. With this marker, I ran into the same problem I found with the artist Loft, is that just whole concept of creating more tonal difference. I even used the chisel tip to try to get different tone. It kind of worked, but at the same time I had to do a bunch of layers to try to get a certain area to be darker. Overall, this marker was way more vibrant than the artist Loft, which makes sense because it was more expensive, and it's probably due to the ink itself. So I was pretty happy with how Obi-Wan turned out. Next up, I used the Copic, which I thought it only fitting to draw a very bold character. I decided to draw Captain America with both his shield and Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. As you could probably tell in these drawings, I've been using the Copic multi-liner as well to create more tonal difference by coloring areas in. And unlike the Touch or Artist Loft marker, it was very easy to get that contrast by just layering the Copic, which is why they are known for being the best. And I decided to keep the background very simple, just a few stars, and like that, I was done with Steve. Next, I'm using the Posca pen to draw a character who is very lovable. I am drawing Patton from the Sanderside series, and I gave him a flower crown just because it suits him. I did not do line art for the cardigan or the flower crown because I wanted to create that lineless look with the Posca pen. And I gave him some hearts in the background because his symbol is a heart, basically. So Posca pens are technically paint-based markers, so I try to use some water to create lighter tones, but I didn't add enough water at first. So I kind of messed up on the shirt, but when I got to the pants, I had kind of learned from my experience and got a better color. So I decided to use the white Posca to kind of fix like going over too much on the arms. But then when I tried to do it, I messed up and spilt a bunch all over. So I tried to clean that up as quick as I could, but then I could just go over it again. That's all I could really do. So I added some detail to the cardigan and flower crown with the fine liner. And then I went over the area where I messed up again, and overall I think this is a very cute piece and I like it. So for this last piece I am using the Ecoline for a character who I thought really goes well with the whole water theme. So I'm drawing Percy Jackson, one of my favorite book characters, and it took me a bit of fidgeting and sketching to get the pose I actually wanted and make the sketch look good before I moved on to the line art. So I basically used the same strategy I used with the Tombow, but surprisingly it worked better for the Ecoline, and it was actually kind of fun to use this marker. I still don't really like the texture, but I still like how the piece turned out overall. Okay, so after all of that, we have 6 artworks to look at right here. Let me say, I'm pretty proud of most of these actually. They're pretty good. Let's start with some few comparisons I want to make. So here are the 2 technically water-based markers, the Tombow and the Ecoline, and out of the results, I actually like the result of the Ecoline better, which I was not really expecting. That could be just my own fault for messing up kinda on this one, or being a little messier with this one. But overall, using the water base, it wasn't too bad. I was expecting worse for the Ecoline, but I actually like how that turned out. Next, let's look at our 3 alcohol-based markers. We have the touch markers, Copic, and the artist Loft. And the Copic's results, everyone knows Copics are amazing, and that's a pretty good result, and I had fun using the marker. It was easier to use. The touch one, actually, I really liked how the color turned out. It's very bright and vibrant, but so it was a good competitor for Copic, even though Copic has a few more better things about it. Obviously, layering is super easier to get different tones. This one was, they're pretty flat tones, but it worked really well. And then of course the artist Loft. I don't really like this piece in general because I kind of messed up, but it wasn't that bad. It's pretty good tones. They were all pretty good actually, but obviously Copic stands out as better quality. It's one of the best for a reason. And then the Posca pen, it was my own fault for messing up, honestly, and I'm not really familiar with Posca and using it in a artwork officially, but as you can see, the nice flat color of the cardigan and the hearts and even the flower crown, it was a good result as long as I try to figure out how to use it better with water and also try not to mess up. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and you can check out all these pieces on my Instagram at Ray the Random Artist, except for this one because this was specially for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.